Each question will have 2 minutes for the candidates to respond, and they'll also have an opportunity for 2-minute closing statements at the end of the evening. So I think as a community, we should be really proud that these 4 citizens have come forward to run for mayor, and I'd like you to give them a round of applause. So that was really fun, but in the interest of time, because we want to get as much information out as possible, we're going to hold applause until the end of the evening, and if you don't, you'll be asked to leave. So we're going to treat everyone equally. They've been randomized, as I said. They're all going to be referred to as Mr. And from left to right, as you see them, we've got Mr. Hancock, Mr. Attaway, Mr. Wheeler, and Mr. Wayne. Tonight's moderator is Chuck Martin of Cape Girardeau. Mr. Martin currently serves as the executive director of the Missouri Travel Council, of which the Kennett Chamber of Commerce is a member. Mr. Martin is an alumnus and an honors graduate of Southeast Missouri State University with a bachelor's degree in business administration with an emphasis in marketing management. He has extensive for-profit, nonprofit, management, and radio industry experience. Please, you can clap here. Welcome tonight's moderator, Chuck Martin.
Thank you, Jill, and good evening, everyone. We have a great turnout at the SEMO Little Theater tonight, and we also want to extend a warm welcome to the radio audience listening tonight on KBOA AM and WGCQ FM. So to both the audience here in the theater and those of you listening on the radio, welcome. And a special thanks to the mayoral candidates, as Jill mentioned, Mr. Hancock, Mr. Wayne, Mr. Attaway, Mr. Wheeler, and Mr. Wayne in the order that they were drawn. Gentlemen, we're going to make it an informal, fun evening. The whole purpose of this evening is for you to have a chance to answer questions that are hopefully going to equip the citizens of Kennett to be able to go to the polls and to be informed when they cast their ballots as to who will lead the city. So we'll start out with our first question tonight, and based upon the drawing, the first question is directed to Mr. Hancock. Mr. Hancock, tell us about your background and experience and why you were running for mayor.
Thank you. First off, as most of you know, I'm not a native of Kennett. I came here in 1980 with UARCO business forms to open the Kennett printing plant. I stayed here until '86, had the opportunity to go to Eupora, Mississippi, to open a second plant. After a 6.5-year tour there, I went to Michigan to oversee 10 printing operations and warehousing coast to coast. After 2 years, Barb and I were thrilled to get the opportunity to come back to Kennett. I guess you could say we have adopted Kennett, and that experience and the things that we were able to accomplish in these plants. First off, the Kennett plant, from its inception to its height of production, we converted 10 million pounds of paper per month. That made us the largest producer of all the 10 UARCO plants in production at that time. What we learned here in Kennett, we took to Mississippi, and before the plant was finished, we had created a plastic room, did our training, and started production. The Eupora plant got the fastest start from in the red to profitability in a 100-year-old company. I'm quite proud of that. It wasn't me individually. If I had the skill, it is the organization, hiring people, getting them trained, getting them into production. My strength, I'll go back 40 years of experience of that, was in manufacturing. After UARCO was sold in 1998, I purchased Vavoc Printing in this very building, operated for 6 years, added Gamble Printing, consolidated. 6 years later, I consolidated Malden Printing. 2017, after 19 years, I retired. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Hancock. Mr. Attaway, your background and experience, why you were running for mayor.
Thank you. My name is Ronnie Attaway, and I'm 30 years old. I come from a factory worker. I've worked in factories my whole life. I worked here at ARI, worked at Tenaris, then I worked at Manac Trailers for the last 5 years. I worked there, and I got with my wife, and we got married, and I wasn't making enough money, and I just decided that I wanted to cut hair. So I told my wife that I wanted to quit working at Manac and go to barber school. So I jumped out on a limb and just literally just quit my job because I was actually making a lot of money, at least $19 an hour. I was the lead man. I ran that line here in Kennett, the flatbed line, about 50 workers. I quit that job, went to barber school for 12 months, and now I have a bar salon and boutique here in Kennett. It's called Circus Salon and Boutique, and we cut hair, we do hair, we sell clothes, we sell shoes, we jewelry, we do it all. Then I have a car wash also where I wash cars and anything that you need done to a car. I've been open for about a year there, and now I'm here running for mayor because I feel like I have the skills and the capability to bring this city back, and I just know that it's a people person job, and I want to work firsthand with the community and show them what I can do, and that's pretty much all I have to say. And if y'all vote for me, I promise I will do everything I can to bring this city back and get jobs and get our youth off the street and clean these streets up from the drugs and clean this trash up, and I promise to do everything I said I would do, I promise. So if y'all vote for me, just know you have a candidate that is going to do everything in his power to do. And that'll be all.
Thank you, Mr. Attaway. Mr. Wheeler, same question, your background and experience and why you're running for mayor.
I moved to Kennett in 1969. That was real close to 60 years ago. And as a school teacher in the high school system, the industrial arts teacher, I taught for 6 years, and the plant manager at that time was a Uniroyal plant on the north side of town, which is now Parker Hannafin, invited me out during the summer break and for an interview, offered me a job, which I turned down the first time because I said, well, no, I got a 10-month job as a teacher, and a spring break and Christmas break, you don't want me to work 13 months a year. Anyway, and it was a very interesting operational way. They had a system called participating management, which allowed the employees to make a lot of their own decisions about how to get the job done. They had unlimited breaks, which, you know, and paid absenteeism, all those good things that made people want to be there. It was a good place to work. I moved to Blytheville, Arkansas after 17.5 years at a company called ACCO, ACCO, which is an acronym for American Chain and Cable Company. Had around 300 employees under my watchful eye over there. Over the years, those of you that know me, I have never had a dull moment in this town. I have continually been involved in some kind of civic club, service club, just any number of things. I worked today for about 2 hours cleaning up the fairgrounds after the wind blows all of the Walmart tumbleweeds in there. So, but anyway, I've been a dedicated citizen of Kennett in all aspects, I do believe.
Thank you, Mr. Wheeler. Mr. Wayne, tell us about your background and experience and why you're running for mayor.
And my experience is that, first off, I'm a Christian. I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a small business owner, and I've been operating Wayne Chiropractic here for the last 20 years. Kennett is my hometown. I was born here in Duncan County Memorial Hospital back in 1969. My dad was out with Uniroyal, which is now Parker Hannafin, and they transferred us around a lot. So altogether, I've been living in Kennett more than half my life. I came back in the early 90s, worked at the hospital on the EMS, so I got into the healthcare field then. After I had tried the military, got my back hurt in boot camp, and they sent me home, and okay, now what am I going to do? So I went into the healthcare field in EMS. and moved down here for a while, decided to go back to school, so moved back up north so I could do that. My wife and I moved back to Kennett I always say it took us a year. We started in 1998 and finished up in 99. It took us 5 hours. So on New Year's Eve night, 1998, we moved into our house we are now. Since then, we've been members with Ely Baptist Church. I've been involved highly with the Boy Scouts. That by electing and wanting to run for mayor, I was given a task 4 years ago to and put onto a committee by our current mayor, Mr. Hancock, in which I was to go out and try and find a way to help and fix St. Francis streets, the sidewalks, ADA sidewalks, stormwater drainage, and guttering. And in that time, I accomplished that goal. So you can look at, I'm relentless in what I go after, and that's what I'm looking for. And so one thing that I will be is, I will not be business as usual, that we'll have a fair and transparent government while I'm there.
Thank you. All right, our second question, and we'll begin with Mr. Attaway. What is Kennett's greatest asset, and how can the city capitalize on that?
They have a lot of land, so I don't know who all owns the land here, but there's a lot of land that needs to be used for industrial purposes. I feel like this town would thrive a lot better if we had more jobs. We just lost the hospital, so I guess an asset would be industrial jobs, because a lot of people need money. So, we say we care about the people, so if we care about the people, we need to make sure that the average person in Kennett has a regular job. Not just a restaurant or a grocery store, a good paying job. The average person makes about less than $25,000 around here in Kennett, Missouri, and I don't think anybody in here can really live on that. So getting more industrial jobs around here would be land would definitely be an asset, because I know that there's land out there, so we can get some more jobs here. So we need to just talk to whoever we need to talk to get whatever we need done to get more industrial jobs out here. And whatever that is, I will try to do that. I will call whoever I need to call. I will get in touch with who I need to get in touch with. And I think another asset is our youth. We have a lot of youth, young people, 18 to about 25. They're just walking the streets. Some of them are rather sell drugs than work, and I don't know if they're selling drugs because they don't have a job or they don't want to go look for a job, but I just know that there aren't a lot of jobs right here in Kennett, Missouri. I just want to bring more industrial jobs to Kennett, and I feel like that would be a good thing for us. So more sales tax for us, more revenue for our city. We need that because, we're headed on a downhill. And pretty much it.
Mr. Wayne, what is Kennett's greatest asset, and how can the city capitalize on that?
One of our greatest assets here in Kennett is that we do have a lot of people that are wanting to fight for the town. But within that, we have to look at how can we help them to continue on, fighting to make sure the town is not in its twilight years. One aspect is by shopping locally. We do have a lot of farmland around here, but we also have a lot of empty buildings around here that could open a good small business, whether it's a new clothing store or a new barber shop, a new car auto repair. There's a lot of aspects that for someone that has a trade of some sort that they can open up here in Kennett, go with our aspects of our lower utilities, the ability to have, and our we have a town of almost 11,000 people. So there's a lot of aspects that we can go into. But what they have to look for and grab hold of these different small business plans, look at our local banks. We can do a lot of things locally. And they need to shop locally, work locally as possible. Kennett is sort of a bedroom community because we have a lot to go to Blytheville. So our Paragould, Marmaduke. So the jobs that are out there, there's a lot there. We just need more to step up and do that work. And so for our assets is we do have a lot of good people here. We just need a few more that are wanting to do that aspect. Because if you do get up, you get a trade, you do a job, there's enough for you to do here. And and to work so that you can go forth and have a good family life. So one of our biggest assets would be the people that we have with the ability to go forth.
Thank you. Mr. Hancock, what is Kennett's greatest asset, and how can the city capitalize on that?
I hope this is the toughest question you asked tonight. It's a simple answer. The greatest asset that Kennett has is his people. We found that to be true when we came in 1980. They're intelligent people, they're hardworking people, and in our case, they set production records that have not been equaled in 100 years in a company. So no doubt the people is the best thing we've got going for us here. I've been asked many times about the workforce in Kennett. I guess I have a little different opinion. They say, well, you don't have the people. We have the people. They haven't left Kennett. They just had to go somewhere else to work. When you lose Emerson, I think at their heyday was around 1,500, Uarko 300, Manic 92, the hospital 362 jobs. They didn't have much choice. They had to do something. We need to bring industry back in here to utilize our greatest asset. It can be done. Unfortunately, the last few years, the economy's been going the wrong way for Kennett. We need each of your help out there. We need to talk to our friends, talk to our neighbors, spread the word about Kennett. First time I ran for mayor, I sat down and made a list of what we had to offer. I filled up a page in a matter of minutes. Those items, with the exception of the hospital, are still true today. We've got to market ourselves, we've got to push and tell a Kennett story. It's a good story. I can tell you personally, if this wasn't this type of town, I wouldn't still be here today. Barbara and I can live wherever we choose to live. We choose to live in Kennett, Missouri.
Mr. Wheeler, same question. What is Kennett's greatest asset, and how can the city capitalize on that?
Well, I agree with Mr. Hancock and Mr. Wayne, whatever. The people make your city. I mean, without any doubt at all, the people make the place where you live enjoyable. We have an outstanding utility system, probably one of the cheapest in the whole state of Missouri. As I compare it to other places where my relatives live, it's just absolutely mind-boggling to them that we can have our cost of utilities to be that low. But the process is being self-owned, and our utility board has just done an outstanding job in managing that system. Second, we have schools. We have really good schools, and they're adding on to the middle school right now, or rebuilding the middle school. What we've got to do is get into those schools the classes and the needs that industry would want when they come in here. Everything is more technical anymore. So anything that we can provide to our children, our young people, in terms of electronics or IT work, if you want to call it that, is, I think, where we got to go. Granted, we need more employment opportunities, and I'm not sure just where they are. We are a farm-related area, without any doubt, and I think if we can attract something that is associated with the farming industry, would be an asset also. Everything we do has got to be surrounded by what we have on hand to work with. If we're going to attract someone to come to this town, we've got to have the skills that they need to do their business.
All right, gentlemen, we asked you about Kennett's greatest asset. Let's kind of flip the coin here. And the next question, we will start with Mr. Wayne. What do you believe is the biggest challenge facing the city of Kennett, and what is a possible strategy to deal with that challenge?
Well, one of our biggest challenges that we do have is, one of the things that we've been talking about is our workforce. If anyone's followed my Facebook page over the last few weeks, a lot of people saying we need jobs, we need jobs. Well, in a matter of a week, I posted probably 10 to 12 jobs of places that were hiring. That even today, I gone and went and talked with several different managers, And I asked them, what was your biggest problem? It's like people coming and staying to work and showing up. That is one of our hardest aspects is, yes, we do have people here, but we need them to show up to work. And that's going to be one of our biggest challenges with bringing in industry. Yes, we're a town of 11,000 people, but we need that work and drive ethic that just really is not a big aspect. It's a hard thing to do, but if we can make something work where by cleaning up an area, making things better so that we can attract the people that work hard and want to come into the area, then that's what we can, an obstacle that we need to go over and work with. And so that's going to be one of our biggest challenges that we do have, is picking things up, getting the town cleaned up, and working with it so that everybody that's got a meter has trash service. I don't want to put any one company out of business, but I would like for you to be able to, if you've got utilities, your trash is your utility. And so that if you have trash service, you're going to pick it up. So that when someone drives into town, they can sit there and see, oh wow, this is a cleaned up neighborhood, or are they going to sit there and say, wow, this is a desperate dying area. So cleaning up in the aspect is going to be one of our other main challenges, the workforce and cleaning.
Mr. Wheeler, what do you believe is the biggest challenge facing the city of Kennett? And what is a possible strategy to deal with that challenge?
In my mind, the absolute biggest challenge is trying to get the city cleaned up. If we have a mowing crew that we keep the right-of-way cleaned up from the city limits in. You go out east of town, the Sheryl Crow, where the Sheryl Crow sign is, and you come in, it's always clean, mint condition, whatever else. You cross by the McDonald's, and what do you see? Trash. You drive our side streets, you got trash. We are a trashy town, and I don't think we're ever going to attract anyone unless we can clean it up. Now, to do that, I have to agree with Mr. Wayne. That it may be best served to have the trash service bid and one person picks it all up, but then we bill everybody, because I think right now there's a lot of people that do not have a contract to have their trash hauled away. They'll pile it up in the backyard and leave it until they maybe change their residence, and they just walk off and leave it, and somebody else has to clean it up. I'm frustrated with that part of it. I think if we would take that crew that's been mowing and keeping that highway looking really good coming into town, or something like that, and put them to work doing door-to-door inspections on a more frequent basis, and then issuing notes or citations to those residents or landlords that we have an opportunity to clean up this town and thereby attract more people to come here, whether they come here to retire, whether they come here for medical service or whatever. You've got to do something along that line.
Mr. Attaway, what do you believe is the biggest challenge facing the city of Kennett, and what is the possible strategy to deal with that challenge?
Well, I guess we all have the same opinion on challenges, because I feel like jobs in the city is a big challenge. For some reason, we cannot keep industrial jobs around here. The Emerson building has been empty since I've been a little kid. The Manac building, it is now shut down, and I know that there's ways around getting businesses to come here. A word that comes in my mind is incentives. Now, I know a lot of people say that we're a broke town, we don't have a lot, we can't do this, but with incentives, anybody will do anything. So if you just offer them, a little tax break here, a little break here on certain things like electricity, water, maybe even property taxes, I don't know. We will all figure it out as a group, but I know incentives is a big thing. So if we can offer these jobs, I know in Bahia, Mississippi, there's an Amazon store coming there, and it's a town of maybe 3,000 to 5,000 people, and it's an Amazon store factory that's about to come there, and it's going to employ up to 500 people. And what they did was they offered them incentives. They told them they would not have to pay property taxes for up to 5 years. They gave them a cut on their electricity. They gave them a cut on their, different type of taxes. And I feel like we more than capable have the ability to do that. I don't know for sure everything that has to do with city gas and water, but we will dig deep and we will find out how to give these industrial places more tax breaks or incentives.
Mr. Hancock, what do you believe is the biggest challenge facing the city of Kennett, and what is the possible strategy to deal with that challenge?
Well, I want to touch base on the waste problem Mr. Wheeler brought up. This is an attitude problem. We've got too many people that don't care. They just soon throw their trash out and let somebody else worry about it. I would challenge our court systems to put some teeth back into it. Not necessarily fining them, assign them to go out and pick up the trash that they threw down. One thing that bothers me is I drive around town when I see a building project going on and the subcontractors' pickups are all from out of town. Why don't we have the subcontractors available here in town? Again, this is an attitude. We need more VOTEC training to get people into air conditioning, heating, these type of jobs. They're good paying jobs, but you got to get people that want to do them. I mentioned a while ago networking. We need to network. That's one of these modern buzzwords. We need to get this word out. Our reputation right now is going out. We're not a clean town. We got a lot of folks here that don't want to work. We need to change our reputation. One way you can do that is through networking. Tell your people that you know about Kennett. Sing our praises. Let's get a different attitude out there, and I think we'll see positive results from it.
Thank you. All right, the next question, gentlemen. We've talked about assets and challenges. If elected, we'll begin with Mr. Wheeler with this question. What will be your #1 priority as mayor?
Well, I think I've already stated that, is to, clean up the town. That would have to be #1. #2, I think, when I was previously mayor, we had a really, really good working relationship between all the departments. We conducted regular staff meetings with all the department heads. We made use of equipment. One example I like to refer to is that the City Light and Water has all those bucket trucks. And if the park board needed to change light bulbs on the baseball field, we would just have the City Light and Water bring one of their trucks over and share it with them and help them get the lights changed and corrected and like that. One of the things I said about Parker Hannafin and their participating management system out there was that Mr. Adway talked about incentive. We had paid absenteeism, and even with paid absenteeism, we had people that had 5, 7, 10 years of perfect attendance. So by having paid absenteeism, they felt bad if they missed, and so they endeavored not to miss. They wanted to be there at work every day, and they were given a responsibility to operate their system under their own leadership or under their group or whatever. And I think we do that to a greater extent here with our city council relying very heavily on our department heads to get the jobs done within the various departments. I've got something else, but I'll bring it up later.
Mr. Hancock, what would your #1 priority be as mayor?
Well, I have the same priority I had 4 years ago. It's called jobs. Securing retail, restaurants, that's good. Tax money does come in from them. But we need industrial type jobs. People need some discretionary money, not just make a living. They need to be able to go to the restaurants. go by the extras in life. Working closely with Jim Grieving, our Industrial Development Director on projects. Unfortunately, our track record hasn't been the greatest lately, but that's not from lack of effort. We continue to be willing to meet with anyone that will talk about locating into Kennett, and I'm talking about coast to coast. As I told Jim when he came on board, I'm available anytime to go anywhere to meet with anybody that'll talk about coming to Kennett. We've contacted some other industrial development people. What I'd like to see, because by and large they are successful on about 20% of the people that approach them. My point is, tell the other 80% to come talk to Kennett, see what we've got to offer and see if we can satisfy their needs. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Wang, what will be your number one priority as mayor?
Well, I do agree with Mr. Hancock and Mr. Wheeler. You know, we do need jobs, but there are several jobs that are out there. We need to clean up, but I would like to restore the faith and fairness and transparency within our government system. That one aspect that I would like to do is, get more involvement from the average citizen out there. That if we get more involvement from our citizens, we're going to restore their faith in the town, restore their city pride. By restoring their city pride, then they are going to go out and they're going to start to pick things up. They're going to start picking up the plastic bag tumbleweeds. They're going to start looking for more aspects and more jobs. So one aspect that I would like to do for restoring that and getting more transparency within our government is making our city council go Facebook Live. Not everybody has Channel 2 or wants to wait 2 days for the newspaper to have that out there on their website, which is a good resource. But it would be nice to have it so that we can develop a Facebook page and so that the public can, if you live in the town of Kennett, you can request in, and then the staff can allow you to come in once you're accepted, and then you can watch it from whether you're sitting there on break at work or you can watch it later at a later time first. But if you're able to sit there and watch it, you can ask a question right away, and that all those particulars will have to work out. But by restoring that fairness and transparency and getting more activity in there, that's going to do very well to bring up the pride of their hometown. And so by doing that, we can accomplish a lot of other aspects. And because we've got a really good website out there that Miss Brenda and Miss Leslie and Connie up there have done a really good job with, we just need to get it expanded a little bit more. And that's going to be an aspect that I can see going forward.
Mr. Attaway, what will be your number one priority as mayor?
Well, my number one priority I would like to say it would be jobs, because without jobs, I guess a lot of where I'm headed to next wouldn't be capable. So I guess jobs and the youth would be hand in hand together. I would like, because this is a town full of youthful children who like to play sports, who like to do a lot of things. So I think if we would come together and attack our youth and get them back involved in the community, like when I was a kid, Melinda Harris used to have the tumbling tribe. She started it, and then we had the street beat and all that. That was things we looked forward to. Kids love that. Instead, we have kids running around playing on iPads and cell phones all day, playing Fortnite all day when they can be outside doing physical activities. And I don't see any reason why Kennett could not look into having a rec center, YMCA, a Boys and Girls Clubs. Those two things are grant funded. You can possibly get grants for YMCAs or Boys and Girls Clubs, but I'm more leaning towards a rec center. I don't see why Crothersville can have a rec center and Kennett, Missouri can't have a rec center. We have just as much money. I'm pretty sure Crothersville does, but we can look into that. So let's get this youth off the streets. Let's get them off of looking forward to looking at the next drug dealer, because that's not cool. We need kids to see that there are other things out there. When they see us trying to show them love and there's other things out there for them to do, they will focus their attention elsewhere. My dad used to always say, idle time was the devil's workshop or something like that. I'm not real sure. He's a pastor. He said a lot of things. But yes, if we can get back our youth, that would be a good start. I'm telling y'all, our youth is headed on the wrong direction with this rap music and all this crazy stuff. We have to get our youth. I promise. Me and Spillman, we do this little program at the Methodist Church called the Joy Program, and it is very beneficial for the kids. They love it. We pray. We used to do. It's good.
Very good. All right, gentlemen, the fifth question coming up, a little bit of a longer question. We'll start with you, Mr. Hancock. Kennett no longer has a property tax and relies on sales for most of its locally generated revenue. There are several sales taxes allocated for various purposes, with the total rate now at 3.25%. There are very limited opportunities under state law for new sales taxes. How does the city find the revenue to fund all of the services people want, and at the same time invest in new opportunities to improve the city so that it can remain competitive with other communities?
Very interesting question. As you just stated, out of our 8.975% sales tax we all enjoy and pay, the city only retains 3.25% of that. There are areas that we can still raise taxes in. So depending on what kind of label you put on the sales tax proposition, it can go on the ballot. There's a misconception that when we continue to explore each of these possibilities, citizens recently passed a senior service stormwater tax, 0.5%. 1/4 of that goes to senior service projects. The other 3/4 of it goes to stormwater. Stormwater is not a choice. It's mandated by the state. So we had to come up with some way to fund it. This is an ongoing challenge. To meet that challenge, I compliment our department heads and the council. Right now, through 9 months, the city is operating at about $250,000 under budget for the year. Money's tight. They've responded to each request.
Thank you. Kennett no longer has a property tax, Mr. Hadaway, relies on the sales tax, several sales taxes, total rate 3.25%. Very limited opportunities for new sales taxes. How does the city find the revenue to fund all of the services people want, and at the same time invest in new opportunities to improve the city so that it can remain competitive with other communities?
Like Hancock said, very interesting question. Yes, I'm guessing I will get with my city. There's a lot of people on the council that can help me out with that, and I will try my best to find out.
Okay, Mr. Wheeler, same question. Without repeating that all, 3.25%, the total rate, very limited opportunities for new sales taxes. How does the city find that revenue to fund all of the services people want, and at the same time invest in those new opportunities to improve the city so that it can remain competitive with other communities?
Okay, I think if we have really viable programs or offering to the citizens and additional tax revenue is needed, I think people would support that idea. But you cannot try to backhand it or backdoor it to get it done. You have to be straightforward with them. But if it's a viable opportunity to improve the city or bring in industry, whatever, I just can't believe that this group of people sitting right out there would not support you with that idea. The departments do a great job. Mr. Hancock indicated they're operating under budget. They do a great job living within their means. And as I looked at this one budget sheet that they sent out to us, it appears to be the one that I designed when I was finance chairman on the city council, and they're still using that to lay out the major plan. And they right now this year they're showing they're ahead of that, but But I just believe in the people. Like, if you are sincere in what you want to get done, that they will support you with that. If it means a little more tax, I just can't believe that they would not support you with that.
All right, Mr. Wayne, we'll finish out. 3.25% current several sales taxes, limited opportunities for new ones. How does the city find the revenue to fund all of those services people want? And how also do they come up with investment for new opportunities to remain competitive?
Okay, one of the aspects that we can do when looking at the projects and things that need to go on around town is, just like I've done in the last 4 years, I went out, asked questions with other mayors, with other city councils on how they were improving their towns, that I needed some answers that I was not getting locally. And I was given a person's name by the name of Mitzi Dell as a grant writer. So we have a project going on right now that is approximately about $1 million, but our citizens of Kennett aren't going to have to pay but half of that. So by increasing the department head's awareness of grants that are out there, by going to more aspects and learning and talking with grant writers in different aspects, that whenever I talked with the Boot Hill Regional Planning Commission a couple of years ago, there hadn't been any discussion from any aspect, that the surveys had never been returned to Kennett, from Kennett to them to give information on. That's why I went to an outside grant writer. So whether we need to stay with them or go with outside grant writing, that's going to be a lot the next thing that we're needing to do. Education is your key. With anybody that is out there that is working, they had to get an education to get to that job. They had to get an education to go that far to provide for their families. So educating our public on, we need aid. This is how we're wanting to get there, and this is the way and the steps that we see. So the education is going to be a key to all those different aspects.
Our next question will begin with Mr. Attaway. Each of you have had a chance to review the city's budget. What changes, if any, would you recommend for future budgets?
I guess I would make changes in the budget to make better pay for the police officers, because from my understanding, I'm not really sure, but I think that the police officers get paid through sales tax, I think. And so I guess we could possibly work on the budget and possibly get our police officers better pay, or somehow get them better incentives so they're not just working hard every day to clean our streets up from all the drugs and bad people on them. So some way of looking at the budget to get police officers better tools, better guns, better tasers, better cars, whatever they need to protect and serve us. I would like to look in the budget to make that better for them.
Mr. Wayne, you've had a chance to review the city's budget. What changes, if any, would you recommend for future budgets?
Within the future budgets, one of the aspects that I would go to is I would like to be employees of Kennett. That's going to be one aspect where we can then go back and look at our budget and say, you know what, the employees in this department are saying we're wasting money here, that this is a not good viable.
They document it and they bring it to the finance committee. I don't know that I would make such dramatic changes, but as we see areas where money is not being utilized, this money will be moved over to more urgent areas. A few years back, we bought a fleet of police cars because ours were all basically on their last leg. Here recently, we found out that the 2013 Dodge Chargers were lemons. We've had them blow engines, we've had them catch fire. So now we're in the process of bringing monies together from other areas so that we can replace these cars that are no longer in service. I think the process works pretty good. I think obviously we had a surplus budgeted this year. As of 9 months, it looks like we're going to exceed that surplus, which means next year we can put monies into salaries or other areas where it's needed. We come up with some unique ways of securing policemen. Previously, we go out and we compete with everybody else when they come out of the academy. Your police chief came up with the idea, why don't we sign them to a contract up front, furnish the money so they can go to the academy, and when they get out, they're our employees. Looking forward to this working quite nicely because other cities, and sometimes they harp about the money, but they don't talk about the benefit package that goes along with it. So I think this type of rationale and thinking is making us more than competitive, and we'll see the results in the near future.
Mr. Wheeler, you have had a chance to review the city's budget. What changes, if any, would you recommend for future budgets?
Well, I don't know that we can make the needs change all the time. We need a new fire station out at fire station number 2 that is partially fallen in, and that's a lot of money that's going to be tied up there. But at the same time, I have to give a lot of credit to our fire department because they've managed so well. He talks about getting grants. John Malott, our chief, and David Horton and Paul Spain, those guys, they know all the loopholes, how to get. We got one of the best equipped fire departments within the state, and this size community, it is definitely the best. Our police department has had some changes here recently, turnover, with people have had the opportunity to go into industry or perhaps get a little better paying job. We have had police officers in the past that were convinced they needed to move to another city, but after moving, in a while they said, well, can I get my job back? The benefits at these other places, they have a higher salary, but they don't have the benefits that go along with it that a family needs to take care of themselves. The budget process is difficult, and it would be a hard way to improve it.
Okay, gentlemen, we're in the home stretch. 2 questions left here. We'll begin next with Mr. Wayne. At this point in time, we want to give each of you the opportunity to talk about an issue we have not discussed tonight that you feel is important or that you're passionate about. So, Mr. Wayne.
One aspect that I feel very passionate about within the city is our city pride. Where I have to look at ways of restoring that city pride. I've mentioned before that having a fair and transparent government is going to be one of those directions. Having the aspect of cleaning the town up is going to be a way to restore that city pride. That whenever you have your hometown, when you have your citizens go through all that aspect, they are going to continue on and work through and be more passionate about whether it's their job in town. It'd be nice to see that the fairgrounds gets used more than a few times by bringing in a car show. We've got several car clubs here in town. Having an event out there like that. Here in, this weekend, we have the Special Olympics team that's going to be out there working at the school. Those aspects are going to bring people into the area. They're going to spend money here in town, which is going to increase our tax base because they're going to be doing aspects here in town. So providing events that everyone can go to, restoring that hometown pride so people want to come to it, and looking for the different opportunities to just make everybody in an aspect want to be here. It's a great place to live.
Mr. Wheeler, talk about an issue we have not discussed tonight that you feel is important or that you are passionate about.
Well, I guess, we talk about a need for medical facilities and whatever. It's really a shame that we lost our hospital, and I don't know whether we'll get it back or not, but there's so many things associated with having an emergency room in a hospital in terms of getting a corporation or a company to come to town. They see Well, you don't have a hospital. You don't have an emergency room. So if there's some way that we can organize the urgent care facilities that we have and create an emergency room, that would be one thing that I think don't do it. The main thing they've got out there is the auto mechanics and auto body repair. They do have a really good welding program that associates well with the ARI up here in the rail car industry because they do a lot of welding. But anything that we can do, as I mentioned earlier, if people want internet type stuff, then that's what we got to go.